Welcome in. Grab a seat and get comfortable. I am so thrilled to have you joining us today for this deep dive.
Yeah, we are really excited to get into this one.
Because when you think about the film industry, and specifically about film festivals, what immediately pops into your head?
You're probably picturing the massive yachts docked at Cannes.
Right, or maybe you're imagining the snowy, crowded streets of Sundance, or the blinding flashbulbs reflecting off the canals in Venice.
All the classic glamorous spots.
Exactly. But today, we are going to take you somewhere completely unexpected, yet fundamentally important to the actual magic of the movies you love.
We are pivoting away from those usual Hollywood-centric Western European narratives.
Yeah, we are.
There is a location and an event that most casual moviegoers have probably never heard of, but it commands profound respect within the upper echelons of the film industry.
Which is wild to think about.
It is, because we are looking at a festival entirely dedicated to the paradox of cinema, celebrating the unseen observers who deliberately hide behind the lens so that the rest of the world can be seen.
I love that framing. The unseen observers.
Right.
So today's source material is a Wikipedia article about the Menaki Brothers Film Festival, which is officially known as the International Cinematographers Film Festival.
And our mission today is to explore how a town in North Macedonia became a global epicenter for the true unsung heroes of cinema.
The people actually behind the camera, the ones framing the shots, capturing the light, and, manipulating your emotions without saying a single word.
It's a completely different side of the industry.
It really is. We are going to find out why this highly specific gathering is one of the film world's best-kept secrets. Okay, let's unpack this.
To really grasp the weight of this event, we have to look at the name on the marquee. It is not just a catchy branding exercise.
No, it's tied to real historical figures.
Exactly. The festival is named after the Aromanian brothers, Yanaki and Milton Menaki, and their story is what gives this entire event its soul.
Because they were operating way back in 1905.
Right.
And they weren't in Paris or New York. They were in a place called Bitola in the Ottoman Balkans.
Which was a very different world back then.
Oh, completely. I tried to picture the logistics of that. We are talking about an era when the Wright brothers had just barely gotten a plane off the ground.
Yeah.
The idea of capturing motion pictures was basically magic, and doing it in the Balkans at that specific time seems almost impossible.
It was an incredible physical and logistical feat. You have to consider what the Ottoman Balkans was like at the turn of the century.
A massive, volatile melting pot.
It was. Getting heavy wooden hand-cranked cameras and highly volatile chemical film stock into that region wasn't just a technological leap, it was an expedition.
Wow.
The Menaki brothers were dragging this cumbersome cutting-edge equipment through dusty roads and mountain passes just to document daily life.
Meaning they were the first people to ever capture moving pictures in that entire region.
They were. What's fascinating here is that this festival isn't just a random celebration that decided to set up shop in a picturesque town.
Right.
It is geographically and historically tied to the literal birth of cinema in that region. The festival is a direct, localized homage to the people who first looked through a viewfinder and preserved the fleeting reality of the Balkans.
It makes the choice of locations so deliberate.
Very deliberate.
Even though the festival itself didn't come along until 1979, it was established in what was then SFR Yugoslavia, a unified socialist state that eventually dissolved.
But the festival persisted.
It did. It found its permanent home in the town of Bitola in North Macedonia. And Bitola is exactly where Yanaki and Milton Menaki organized most of their activities.
By hosting it there, the organizers, which is the Macedonian Film Professionals Association, they are bringing the global film community back to the geographic roots of regional cinema.
It establishes a continuum.
Exactly. It tells the attendees that visual storytelling didn't just happen in the West. It has a century-old lineage right beneath their feet in Bitola.
That brings up a really fun contrast. You have this deeply historical regional town. The screenings happen right in the center of Bitola, at the center of culture, in their big hall.
It is a point of immense national pride.
Absolutely, backed at the highest levels by the Ministry of Culture and the President of North Macedonia. But then you look at who is actually walking through the doors of that big hall. Here's where it gets really interesting.
The guest list is a complete culture clash in the best way possible.
It is wild. I'm looking at the attendees, and you have French cinema royalty like Catherine Deneuve and Juliette Binoche.
Isabelle Huppert, too?
Yes. And international stars like Bruno Ganz and Victoria Abril. Daryl Hannah was even an exclusive guest back in 2010.
And you can't forget Charles Dance.
Tywin Lannister himself. Just imagine being Charles Dance, walking out of a civic center in Bitola, North Macedonia, just hanging out with a bunch of introverted camera nerds debating lens flares.
It is such a brilliant image.
It really is.
It sounds almost surreal, but it reveals the true prestige of the event. You do not get icons of that caliber to travel to a small Balkan town unless the festival holds undeniable weight.
Right, they aren't going there for the paparazzi.
No. The reason these massive, world-famous actors make the trek is out of pure respect for the craft. In the normal ecosystem of a film set, the actors are in the spotlight.
And the cinematographers are in the shadows.
Exactly. This festival flips that dynamic completely upside down. The actors come to sit in the audience and applaud the people who make them look good.
Because the core mission of this festival is entirely focused on the visual masters. They aren't handing out awards for Best Actor or Best Screenplay.
The signature honor here is the Camera 300,
Completely dedicated to cinematographers.
which is a beautiful nod to the mechanics of the craft itself. Cinematography is a deeply psychological art form.
It's definitely not just about making sure the scene is bright enough to see.
Not at all. It is about choosing the specific focal length of a lens to make a character feel isolated, or manipulating shadows to create a sense of dread. The cinematographer translates the written script into a visual emotional language.
And the highest honor Bitola bestows for that translation is the Golden Camera 300 for Life Achievement.
The roster of Lifetime Achievement winners is basically a syllabus for a masterclass in modern cinema.
You see names like Sven Nykvist, who defined the stark psychological look of Ingmar Bergman's films,
And Vittorio Storaro, who uses color like a weapon.
plus more recent Hollywood titans like Roger Deakins in 2018, Janos Kaminski in 2020.
And Bruno Del Bonel in 2024.
How does a regional festival attract that specific tier of legendary talent?
It is because cinematographers rarely get their own dedicated stage. The Academy Awards groups them in with a dozen other technical categories.
That's true, they get rushed off the stage.
But in Bitola, they are the absolute center of the universe. When Deakins or Kaminski accept that award, they're being recognized by a jury of their peers in an environment that understands the granular, agonizing decisions they make for every single frame.
There is also a detail from 1996 that feels like the emotional core of the whole event. They awarded the Golden Camera 300 for Life Achievement to Milton Minaki.
Posthumously. It is a beautiful way to close the circle.
It places the regional pioneer on the exact same pedestal as the modern Hollywood titans.
Beyond the lifetime honors, there is also a fierce global competition for the year's best motion pictures.
Right, the competitive Golden and Silver Camera 300.
And looking at the winners, you realize this isn't just a showcase for local Balkan movies. The scope is massively international.
It proves that cinematography is the ultimate universal language. You don't need to speak the language of the actors to feel the impact of the framing.
Let's look at some of these specific winners because it really highlights what the festival values.
Okay, like in 2003, Christopher Doyle won the Golden Camera 300 for the Chinese martial arts epic, Hero.
Such a stunning film.
When I think of that movie, I don't even think of the dialogue. I just think of those overwhelming, saturated color palettes. The red room, the blue sequence, the white desert.
Doyle treated the camera like a paintbrush in Hero. He used those distinct color palettes to represent entirely different emotional states and versions of the truth. It is a purely visual way of storytelling.
Or consider another winner, the Polish film Ida, shot by Ryszard Lenczewski, which won in 2014.
That film is famous for its black and white cinematography, but it goes so much deeper than just removing color.
Immensely deeper, right?
Think about Ida. Lenczewski deliberately framed the characters entirely in the bottom third of the screen. He left this huge, oppressive empty space above their heads in almost every shot.
He wasn't just capturing the actors.
No, he was using the negative space to visually represent the crushing weight of history, trauma, and religion pressing down on them. That is the kind of profound visual storytelling this festival is designed to honor.
That makes so much sense. You see that same emphasis on environment in the more recent winners, too.
Like Ruben Impins winning for the Eight Mountains in 2022.
Capturing those sweeping, isolating landscapes. And in 2023, Sevahir Şahin and Kürşat Yurisen won for the Turkish film about dry grasses.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, tracing these winners from 1993 to today acts as a timeline of global cinematic evolution.
Because you are seeing the transition from film to digital, the shifting trends in lighting and aspect ratios?
You have films from Brazil, like Walter Carvalho's gritty, vast work on Central Station.
Sitting right alongside pristine digital landscapes from Europe and Asia.
All of these distinct cultural perspectives and visual styles converge in Bitola to be analyzed solely on the merit of their imagery.
So what does this all mean? Cinematography is so subjective. One person's oppressive negative space is another person's bad framing.
That is the big challenge.
Who actually gets to decide who the best is at a festival like this?
It requires a highly discerning and diverse group of minds. The main competition juries in Bitola are packed with industry heavyweights from all over the globe.
Looking at the juries from 1995 to 2024, they aren't just bringing in local film critics.
Far from it. They bring in highly acclaimed directors. You have people like the Oscar-winning Polish director Paul Pawlikowski serving on the jury in 2010.
Or the Serbian director Srđan Dragojević in 2014.
And of course, you have legendary cinematographers serving alongside them, like Vilmos Sigmund and the brilliant French cinematographer Agnes Godard.
Having directors judge cinematographers is such an interesting dynamic. The director is usually the one giving the orders on set, but here they're forced to step back and purely evaluate the execution of the visual craft.
It creates a wonderfully rigorous debate. A director looks at a film and asks if the visual choices serve the story,
While a cinematographer looks at the same film and asks how they achieved that depth of field in that lighting condition.
Exactly. When you have a jury balancing both of those perspectives, winning a Golden Camera 300 truly means you have executed something flawless.
Managing a festival with that level of rigorous debate and international talent must be incredibly complex. But it sounds like the festival had a very chaotic grassroots beginning.
It did. It started in 1979, but apparently it didn't even have an official director until 14 years later, in 1993.
When Boris Nineski took the role.
It sounds chaotic, but it actually speaks to how organic the festival's growth was. It wasn't created by a corporate board with a slick marketing strategy.
It was built by a community of film professionals who just wanted to celebrate their craft.
It was run by the collective before it grew so large that it finally had to formalize its leadership.
And once it formalized, it really hit its stride. You had directors like Labina Matevta guiding it through the era when stars like Juliette Binoche were attending.
Bogosia Kunowski and Eugenija Tidusieska steered it through the late 2010s.
And currently, Simeon Demeski is at the helm. Under this organized leadership, the festival has evolved into something more than just an awards show.
It has become a crucial launchpad for new art.
We see that specifically with the world and national premieres hosted in Bitola. They have premiered major regional works over the years.
Films like The Grey Water in 2004.
The world premiere of The Third Half in 2012.
And more recent national premieres like Sisterhood in 2021 and Housekeeping for Beginners in 2023. This raises an important question for anyone who cares about the survival of diverse storytelling.
Okay, let's hear it.
We often focus so heavily on massive global blockbusters with $100 million marketing budgets. But how do smaller, regional films from a country like North Macedonia ever find an audience?
They need a megaphone.
Precisely. By hosting these premieres at the Menaki Brothers Film Festival, they are utilizing a brilliant strategy. They lure the world's great cinematographers, elite directors, and international press to Bitola to celebrate the Camera 300 Awards.
And while they have a captive, highly influential audience, they screen the very best of their own national cinema.
It ensures that local Macedonian films have a prestigious, globally recognized platform right in their own backyard.
It forces the international industry to pay attention to regional stories. It is this perfect symbiotic loop.
You honor the global masters of the craft, and in return, the global masters shine a light on the emerging local artists.
It creates an incredible culture of cinema in a town you might never have expected.
It is a testament to the enduring power of the moving image. It doesn't matter if you are in Hollywood, Paris, or Bitola. The desire to capture reality, to frame it beautifully, and to share it with an audience is a universal human impulse.
We have covered some fascinating ground today. We started by looking back at the sheer willpower of Yannicki and Milton Manaki, dragging wooden cameras through the volatile Ottoman Balkans in 1905, just to document the unseen life around them.
We saw how that localized, pioneering spirit gave birth to a festival in 1979 that grew into a massive civic event in Bitola.
An event that flips the traditional Hollywood script, asking the world's most famous faces to sit in the audience while the quiet, meticulous architects of the visual medium finally get their moment in the sun.
We explored the nuance of the Camera 300 Awards, honoring legends who have defined the look of modern movies.
And analyzing how films from China to Poland to Brazil all speak the same visual language.
We also looked at the grassroots evolution of the festival, transforming from a directorless community gathering into a vital launchpad that sustains national cinema on a global stage.
So why does all of this matter to you?
The takeaway for you, the listener, is highly practical. The next time you find yourself sitting in a dark theater or even just streaming a movie on your couch, pay attention to the silence.
When a character's isolation is perfectly framed.
Or when the shadows in a room make your heart beat just a little faster. Remember that it isn't an accident. Cinematography is a deliberate, psychological art form entirely its own.
And remember that there is a passionate community gathering every year in North Macedonia dedicated solely to keeping that specific magic alive.
It genuinely changes the way you watch a film. You start looking for the brushstrokes.
You really do. But before we wrap up our deep dive today, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought. Everything we discussed is built on the foundation of two brothers who ventured out in 1905 to capture motion pictures in a part of the world that had never seen a camera,
They were true pioneers.
documenting a reality that had previously only existed as a fleeting memory. They observed the unseen and made it permanent.
A huge milestone.
Now think about the reality you and I live in today. We exist in a hyper-documented era. There is a high-definition digital camera in almost every single pocket on Earth.
Every mundane street corner, every minor event is recorded, filtered, and uploaded instantly to a global audience.
So I want you to ask yourself, in a world where absolutely everything seems to be filmed all the time, what unseen corner of the human experience is still out there, waiting for a modern-day pioneer to capture it on film for the very first time?
That is a brilliant question to ponder.
It really makes you look at the world differently. Thank you so much for exploring this incredible history with us today. Keep looking closely at the light and shadows around you, and we will see you next time.